In this episode, we are talking about the OnlyFans murder trial. It's the story of a woman named Courtney Clenney who began her social media career on Instagram as a fitness model. She was entering some bodybuilding competition. But then her journey on social media took a little bit of a turn. And I think she learned the lesson that the less clothes I wear, the more people click on my pictures. She eventually added an account on a site called OnlyFans, which is a website where people go and you pay a monthly subscription that is set by the person who runs that particular page on the site. So if I had one, I would maybe charge, maybe $4.99 a month for the content. You pay the money and then you get to see whatever the person posts. Well, Courtney Clenney was posting pictures where she wasn't wearing any clothes. And then she learned about motion pictures or videos and started posting some videos.
Talkies.
Yeah. There wasn't talking initially. Well, I guess there was talking. Yeah. There
was a lot of gagging, I assume.
Yeah.
There was some of that.
So she ends up doing this, and she's very successful. She's very photogenic. And she ends up with a boyfriend named Christian Obumselli. And Christian is a bit of a crypto day trader kind of guy. I don't think he's making a ton of money, but his girlfriend Courtney is. And to give you some idea, it's not like, $10,000 a month. It's more like $100,000 a month and more that she is making. And she's young, right? She's in her 20s. Christian's in his 20s. So this couple, and they're living in Texas, in Austin, Texas. And they're just living high on the hog, all this money. But the nature of their relationship is a little tumultuous. I spoke once with a neighbor of his from Texas, and he said, "Yeah, there was a lot of noise coming from that apartment."
If you see the videos, you know why.
To see those sort of films, to see that kind of thing, in my youth, I had to go down to the little theater in Newark, New Jersey, or perhaps the Capitol in Passaic. These kids these days, they've got it made.
It did.
Where else can you see a film from?
It can be recorded and viewed on your phone. Now, that's Mrs. Politan on my phone. And she's smiling. It's a very innocent picture. No,
very nice.
Do you have any nude pictures of your wife?
Wait a minute. Would you like some?
Apologies to the
wait, nudge, say no more.
I know more, notably.
A wink is as good as a nod to a blind man. So
this story becomes, and when I call this story, as I cover it on Court TV on my show, 8 to 10 weeknights on your front row seat to justice, it's like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard relationship, only to the extreme. And when I say to the extreme, the fights that they would have, the level of violence, the level of drugs, the level of the insanity going on, and then the ultimate results. So they're making so much money, they end up moving to Miami, to it's one of the areas where a lot of the crypto people live, and the Instagram influencers are all the kids that have
mockers, big mockers.
Miami Vice was one of my favorite shows of all time. I mean, the chemistry between those two, it's fantastic.
Well, the chemistry between this young lady and the young man that she has hooked onto was quite interesting also. Now, Vin,
he did a lot of solo videos, but he did co-star in some of them.
He did. He actually was in most of the ones that I saw. The ones that you sent.
Subscriber?
Well, no, the thing is this, Jonesy, when I'm on Court TV, Mondays, 9 to 10 with Vinnie Politan, all right, I do the research, I go in deep. I get the hands dirty, the knees worn, the shoe leather is going to be scruffed, Okay, because I'm not an armchair general of the law. I'm a foot soldier. All right. So I'm in there so I looked up this young lady and I looked up on this account. Okay. Just out of curiosity. All right. So that I was able to give a better view of what I thought was going on with this. And whatever jury I'm on, if she's the defendant in the case, not guilty.
You know, it's interesting, Jonesy. I know that it's true because we had a trial called the former Playmate Kelsey Turner murder trial, right? She's a former Playboy Playmate. And Al came on the air and told us that he went through all of his back issues and figured out that she was not an actual Playboy Playmate, but a Playmate for Playboy Italia.
Yes. I because I brought out my 100th 100 best issues, which is signed by Hugh Hefner himself. Okay, and I looked through that, and then I saw that she was in the Italian Playboy, not even the American Playboy.
That's okay. So research to look through all. You had to go through all of those nude shots to find this out.
Yes, I did, and I started with Barbie Benton and worked my way down. And
she had a sitcom, didn't she? She had a sitcom at one point.
Barbie Benton had a sitcom.
Yes, she did. I don't know.
You're not thinking of? Are you thinking of Adrienne Barbeau, who was also?
No. Barbie Benton.
It was big up here. You know what I mean?
I'm going to look it up as you gentlemen continue talking. Barbie Benton. Is she still alive?
Barbie Benton was my absolute favorite. Absolutely adored her. She was absolutely gorgeous, and I could tell you what her interests were. So she was interested. She was interested in moonlight walks, saving the whales, and dumb guys. So I always thought I had a shot.
Ooh, Sugar Time.
Barbie Benton was on Sugar Time.
Sugar Time.
Yeah, very good.
I don't remember watching. I just remember they made a big deal because remember how they would, before the fall season would start, all the networks would just hit you with those promos.
Yep.
And I remember the promo for Good Times there was a cut of JJ where he said, "If God didn't mean for us to steal, why'd he give us more pockets than hands?" And me and my brother all summer long are going around yelling, "More pockets than hands." Pockets than hands. I had no idea. I don't know. But anyway, and then there's another one. Football, you bet. You know what that was?
No, you bet. I remember the expression, but I don't remember what that came.
I was a human TV guide back in those days. I would buy it every Wednesday when it came out and study it.
Oh, you bet.
I don't remember that one.
I know. I remember it.
The San Pedro Beach Bums.
The San Pedro Beach Bums.
I remember how excited I was for Apple's Way because it was supposed to be like the Waltons, but like a modern version of it.
Oh, I hated the Waltons. I didn't like the Waltons either, but it was like a modern version. Like everyone was always talking about the Waltons, the greatest show ever, the greatest show. But now they were going to have like sort of something I could relate to a little bit more. It was a little more.
Wasn't 8 is enough? Sort of.
8 is enough. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh, that was
sort of a Waltons thing. You had the patriarch and the wife and then the second wife and all that stuff.
How many real children did Dick Van Patten have? Because he had 8, obviously, and 8 is enough.
You mean in like real life?
Yeah, because
his son was a big time tennis player and also an actor. And then
is that the same one that was in the White Shadow?
Who did he play in White Shadow?
Was Salami?
Salami? That was his son?
Salami doesn't look like Patton. I mean, maybe you're right, but I mean, he looked a little more ethnic. You're on a roll, so you got Barbie Benton's show. But I remember Dick Van Patten's wife had a great role in The Bad News Bears.
Timothy Van Patten
was Salami.
Yeah, and there's a Vince Van Patten. I know that.
Right, there's a Vince Van Patten. Right.
There's a Timothy. I don't know how many other Van Patten kids there are.
Well, his wife played the woman in charge of the Little League in Bad News Bears, where the greatest line, the funniest line in that movie delivered by none other than Walter Matthau was that it was like, Buttermaker, here's your second place trophy. And he goes, thanks, sir. Like that to the woman. She gives him this look. But Walter Matthau, now that's an actor.
Yeah.
Oh God, he was incredible. And the team, when he would team with Jack Lemmon, man, whether they were doing drama or comedy, it was just fantastic.
Time out. I prefer Jack Klugman and
Yes, I do as well.
Randall as the Odd Couple.
Oh, that movie! I got to tell you, the movie is excellent. I mean,
It is.
The movie is.
It's a little different. It's a little darker.
I mean, the TV show is a classic of all time. You can't do better than that's a show that you watch and it hasn't, even though the fashions have changed and obviously the mores have changed, you still laugh. Okay, it's still fun.
Well, it's a tribute to Klugman and Randall and their chemistry, incredible chemistry, that they could pull that off and make people think of them as the Odd Couple. When you
Now,
think
who
of the Odd Couple, I think of them.
wait a minute. Who are the only two characters from the movie that make it to the TV show? That the actors were
Al from Happy Days?
Nope. Al Molinelli was not in the movie.
The guy who played Speed.
Nope. The guy who plays Speed was not in the movie.
The Pigeon Sisters.
The Pigeon Sisters were in that movie and were in the TV show. And that was the original. Gwendolyn and Cecily.
There you go. So they moved to Miami. Courtney Clenney and
Gwendolyn loved Miami Vice.
Christian Obumselli. They moved to Miami and they're in this beautiful apartment, right? Right on the water. It's like $12,000 a month rent. And they are getting into these fights and they're this close to getting kicked out because they make such so much noise and disturb their neighbors who are also spending, $10,000, $12,000 a month to live in this building. And these two are just out of control with whatever is happening in their domestic situation. Now there's a video on the elevator where she is seen like beating him up and he's restraining himself.
Right.
This is the elevator that goes directly, it's one of these apartments. It's like you take the elevator, it goes straight to your apartment. It doesn't go to like a hallway where your apartment is. It goes straight to your apartment.
I think of Heaven on the Seventh Floor by Paul Jabbar.
That's a great
fantastic song.
That was number one on WVJP. I used to do my weekly top 10 countdown with whatever 45s I purchased.
That was a good one.
At Sam Goody's. And it was selling up
That has never been played in the Wunsch residence. I will tell you that.
Great.
Well, you don't know how to have a good time, do you? You're too busy searching porn sites.
God. Why don't we bring back the DeFranco family, okay, and really get ourselves going? Heartbeat, right? Is that
Heartbeat?
Love Beat.
Yeah.
And when
that's
we
a good
meet,
one.
it's a true sensation.
I still
let me tell you,
I still play stuff like that on my radio shows.
That video on the elevator, Vin, is just absolutely horrific. The way she attacked him.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Punched him and was hitting him in the head and calling him names and saying, it was just horrific what she was doing to him. And he is completely restrained. He was far better than I think I ever would have been with regards to that kind of
Here's the twist, though. Here's the twist. Now, I got to get into the story for people who don't know. They get into a fight. She ends up stabbing him. She calls 911, but she stabs him and he ultimately dies. She's charged with his murder now. At the time, she said he was coming towards her and she threw the knife like she's a knife thrower or something. But I don't think the evidence is going to play that out. But on that elevator video, I had her attorney on my show and he said he was kicked out of the house. She's trying to keep him from getting into the apartment. And he's the one going in the elevator and she wants him out. So he's claiming that even in that scenario, she's the victim because he's going into, she pays for everything. It's all her money. Yeah. It's her money. And she's claiming
that's a pretty damn good defense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, it is, especially when the other person's dead. Okay, so it makes it very easy to make that kind of a defense, as opposed to, if there was somebody there that is is alive and could say, wait, that's not true. I mean, they get on the elevator fine. I mean, if you remember when you watch that elevator video, they get on fine, and then she says something because, like, apparently he was cheating on her or something, or she believed he was cheating on her, and then that's when she starts getting active. I didn't at one point seem to think she was telling the guy to get out. And in that kind of a building, if she called security, I'm sure they would have jumped.
Well, the day before.
Well, that's right.
No, she did call security, and she wanted to get a restraining order.
But there was no restraining order. She didn't get one.
No, it's still a good defense if I'm on the jury.
Yeah,
is she hot?
It's going to be
she's hot.
It's going to be a big one on Court TV because it's not super clear. But what happened was, because he's black and she's white, after she killed him, she wasn't arrested for months, and this became a big deal on social media.
Now that's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she's a little pixie. I mean, if you take a look at her, okay, I mean, she's small, she's compact. I mean, she's beautiful, okay. And what cop was going to friggin'? Well, I'm sure they would have frisked her, but I mean, I don't think they were going to be doing anything else. But,
but let's go back to what I said originally. When she first made it onto social media and was on Instagram, she was a bodybuilder. So she's not, while she might at that point have been thinner than she was and not quite as muscular. I mean, you look in her history, there was a time she was strong. I mean, and cut. And that was her original thing when she was living in Texas. And then when she found out how she could really make a lot of money, things changed. Both of them obviously were partying and taking drugs. They had a couple of trips to Las Vegas that ended up with situations where police were called. There's one where he's calling her or leaving her a message where she locks him out of the hotel room and he's like bleeding because I think she had stabbed him another time. But not like in the heart this time, like in the leg or something.
If at first you don't succeed.
Yeah, that's why I compared it to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This was a toxic relationship. These two, super passionate when they're together, and you could see it in the videos that Al's watched. And then when other times when they're fighting, it is extremely volatile, violent, and this one ends up in someone dying. And it's a case that we're covering on Court TV, and I don't think there's going to be a plea in this one. I think it's going to trial. They charged her with murder, and
it's going to have to go to trial. They've set it up for a trial. I mean, the way that the defense has done a great job, okay, of like orchestrating the theme of this case and painting her as a victim. It's a great move. I credit to them. They've set a very interesting scenario, and without him being there, and just put a picture of him next to her, he towered over her.
Question: do the videos come into evidence?
Yes.
Does the jury get to see them? And who's putting them in? Who wants those videos in front of the jury? No. Prosecution or the defense?
Oh, all right. I thought I was a member of the jury. I think the prosecution is going to use them to basically show that, the relationship that was going on there.
Do you hold that against her, Jonesy?
I'll hold something against her for sure, but I think that might be a bad strategy. I'm not a lawyer like you guys or anything, but if the prosecution puts that into play, then they're putting into play what she did, which society may frown upon, but is her right to do, which is
the motive. It's a motive thing. If he's with other people, okay, this is how she makes her money, is doing these videos with him. Okay, so now
and alone, she does some by herself as well.
Yes, I've seen those. I bookmarked those also.
I'm going solo.
Well, that's love. That's making love to someone you love. But it's the scenario with regards to the fact that she's upset that he's seeing somebody else. He's cheating on her. And that is a potential loss of income for her because it is that dynamic between the two of them that is sold very well for her. And that's where she's getting her money. So he's taking that away.
Consortium.
Sorry?
A little loss of consortium as well.
Well, she lost the consortium when she stabbed him to death.
Exactly. Anyway,
and a couple of the scenes that I've seen,
allegedly,
she's lost more than her consortium. I'll tell you that.
It's the OnlyFans murder trial. Keep an eye open for it, folks. We are out of time this time. Until next time, Jonesy, say goodnight.
Good night.